Good evening, weary traveler, and welcome once more to a tranquil journey through the quiet, industrious corridors of history as the day's last light softly, slowly, and peacefully fades away, retreating beyond the distant horizon, and the world outside your window begins its gentle, nightly hush. We extend to you a warm invitation. We encourage you to settle deeply, very deeply, into your most comfortable and secure space. Allow your thoughts to gently and serenely unwind, slowly untangling themselves from the day's persistent concerns. Prepare your mind, calmly and patiently, for a truly immersive, yet profoundly tranquil voyage into a time long past, to a world where progress was forged through endless toil, and the rhythm of life was dictated by the unceasing hum of machinery. Tonight, we will venture far beyond the hurried, often fragmented rhythm of our modern existence. We will turn our gaze, with deliberate intention, towards a pivotal era in human history, the Victorian Age. Specifically, we will explore a side of this period that is rarely depicted in its true, monotonous, yet profoundly impactful reality. Our focus will be on what it was really like working 14-hour days in a Victorian factory. This is a narrative that seeks to transcend the grand narratives of empire and innovation. Instead, we will delve into the harsh, often unyielding, yet deeply repetitive and surprisingly uniform routines that governed the lives of millions, particularly within the towering smoke-filled structures of the early Industrial Revolution. Imagine, for a long, quiet, contemplative moment, a life dictated not by personal choice, but by the relentless, unceasing demands of the machine. A world where the dawn brought not the promise of leisure but the certainty of endless labor, where every hour, every minute, was consumed by a single repetitive task performed within the deafening roar and pervasive dust of the factory floor. This was a life of quiet endurance, of profound physical strain, and of an almost hypnotic monotony that, paradoxically, can now serve to lull the modern mind into a state of deep calm. We will explore the subtle sounds of clanking gears, the consistent hum of steam engines, the pervasive scent of oil and raw materials, and the endless, precise movements of human hands synchronized with mechanical rhythms. This is a story not of heroic breakthroughs or dramatic struggles, but of the silent, persistent grind of daily existence, of the human spirit's quiet resilience in the face of overwhelming industrial force. It is a narrative woven from threads of physical exhaustion, of repetitive motions, and of the subtle yet ever-present challenges of survival in an entirely new, mechanized world. It is designed to be a gentle lullaby, an invitation for your own mind to find its perfect stillness, allowing the rhythmic, unceasing sounds of a bygone era to guide you towards a truly restorative rest. So now, as you listen, breathe deeply, very deeply, letting your chest gently rise and fall with each breath. Feel the comforting, soft weight of your blanket surrounding you, wrapping you in a cocoon of warmth and security. Feel the gentle, steady rhythm of your own breath, a quiet anchor in the present moment. And finally, allow your mind to simply drift, to slowly, peacefully begin its imagined journey into this disciplined, industrialized, and profoundly tranquil historical landscape. Let the whispers of tireless labor and the imagined echoes of silent machinery guide your thoughts serenely and without haste, towards a state of profound stillness, ultimate peace, and a truly restful, dream-filled sleep. Having gently settled ourselves into the contemplation of a bygone era, allowing our thoughts to drift towards the vast landscapes of human endeavor, let us now transport our minds, slowly and with profound understanding, to the heart of the Industrial Revolution, to a time when progress roared with a deafening, mechanical voice. We are about to immerse ourselves, not in the grand innovations, but in the gritty, relentless, and profoundly repetitive reality of daily life for countless individuals, working 14-hour days within the cavernous, booming confines of a Victorian factory. This is a story of sheer endurance, of sensory overload, and of the unique kind of weariness that only constant, mechanical rhythm can induce, a weariness so deep it might paradoxically lull your own mind into a profound and dreamless sleep. Imagine, for a long, quiet moment, the very start of such a day. The hour is impossibly early, long before the first hint of dawn has even begun to paint the cold, grey sky. You are awakened not by a gentle stirring, but by the insistent, chilling clang of a factory bell, its stark, metallic sound cutting through the lingering darkness, a summons that tolerates no delay. Your small room, perhaps in a crowded tenement house in a sprawling industrial city, is cold. The air thick with the faint scent of damp plaster and stale coal smoke from the previous evening. There is no soft bed to linger in. Your cot is hard, narrow, often shared, its rough woolen blanket offering meager warmth against the pre-dawn chill. You rise slowly, stiffly, your muscles already aching from yesterday's relentless toil, a persistent thrum of fatigue already present deep within your limbs. The floor beneath your bare feet is cold, rough wood, perhaps with splinters unseen in the gloom. The process of preparing for the day is quick, efficient, and devoid of any lingering comfort. There is no luxury of warmth or abundant water. You might splash a meager handful of cold, icy water from a communal basin onto your face, feeling its sharp, bracing shock awaken your skin, a momentary jolt that quickly dissipates in the chill air. Your clothes are simple, often patched and worn, a rough cotton shirt, sturdy trousers, perhaps a thin apron, garments chosen for their durability against the harsh factory environment, rather than for any comfort or appearance. The fabric feels coarse against your skin, a familiar, unchanging sensation. The air in the tiny room is still, heavy, filled with the quiet, anticipatory hum of the impending workday. There is no time for conversation. The silence is profound, broken only by your own soft breathing and the subtle rustle of your worn clothing. Breakfast, a crucial source of energy for the grueling hours ahead, is meager and quickly consumed. Perhaps a piece of dry hard bread, its crust rough against your tongue, softened with a few sips of weak, lukewarm tea. Or perhaps a thin gruel, tasting faintly of oats and water. The food is consumed swiftly, silently, almost mechanically, focusing solely on providing the necessary fuel for your body, rather than on enjoyment. The aroma is faint, earthy, utilitarian. This rapid, almost ritualistic consumption reinforces the reality that your time is not your own. It belongs, fundamentally, to the demanding schedule of the factory. Then comes the walk to the factory itself, a long, monotonous journey through the awakening industrial city. Imagine stepping out into the pre-dawn darkness, the streets still shrouded in a thick, pervasive fog, often tinged gray or yellow by the coal smoke that perpetually hung in the air. The cobblestones underfoot are cold, uneven, often slick with dampness or grime. The air is heavy, acrid with the sharp, metallic scent of coal dust, of damp earth, and of unseen industrial processes already stirring to life. You are not alone. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, of other figures, silhouetted against the faint street lamps or the distant, flickering gaslights, walk with the same determined, weary stride. They are men, women, and even small children, all heading towards the same looming, formidable structures. The sounds of the street gradually intensify as you approach the factory district. The distant, rhythmic clang of hammers from a blacksmith's forge, the rumble of heavily laden carts on cobblestones, the occasional shouts of foremen, and the ever-present low-vibrating hum of unseen machinery. All these sounds begin to merge, growing louder, more insistent, forming a complex industrial symphony that slowly, inexorably washes over you. Your worn, leather boots make a soft, rhythmic scuffing sound on the uneven pavement, a quiet counterpoint to the growing cacophony. The sense of anticipation is not one of excitement, but of resignation, of entering a world where your individual will is subsumed by the overwhelming power of the machine. Upon finally reaching the immense, imposing factory building, the true sensory assault begins. The exterior walls are often grim, blackened by years of soot and industrial grime, towering high into the smoky sky. The air at the entrance is even heavier, denser, carrying the distinct, pervasive scent of hot oil, of raw cotton fibers, of dampness, and of countless human bodies. Imagine stepping through a large, heavy door, its ungreased hinges groaning softly as it swings open. The sound inside is immediate and overwhelming, a deafening, continuous roar that seems to vibrate through the very ground beneath your feet. This is the sound of dozens, perhaps hundreds, of machines, all working in relentless, synchronized motion. The factory floor stretches before you, an immense, cavernous space, often dimly lit by high windows coated with grime, or by flickering gas lamps that cast long, dancing shadows. The light is often poor, making it difficult to discern fine details, forcing your eyes to strain. The air inside is thick, heavy, and perpetually filled with an almost visible haze of dust, cotton dust, wool fibers, fine metallic particles from the grinding machinery. Every breath you take draws this dust into your lungs, a gritty, irritating sensation that persists throughout the day. Your throat feels dry, your nostrils are constantly tickled, and a persistent cough often develops, a subtle, yet constant, physical discomfort that becomes a normalized part of your existence. Now, imagine yourself taking your position at a specific machine. Perhaps it is a power loom, its wooden frame massive and imposing. The air around it vibrates with an astonishing intensity. The sound is an unrelenting rhythmic clamor, the loud, insistent bang of the shuttle flying back and forth across the warp threads, the constant rhythmic clack-clack of the loom's moving parts, the soft, pervasive worry of the spinning spindles. This is not just noise. It is a physical force, a continuous, vibrating drone that permeates your entire body, settling deep into your bones, making conversation impossible without shouting directly into an ear. You feel the constant tremor of the floor beneath your feet, a low, persistent vibration that becomes an extension of your own fatigue. Your task, for the next 14 hours, is one of precise, monotonous repetition. If you are tending a spinning machine, your fingers, often small and nimble, are constantly engaged in retying broken threads. Imagine the delicate feel of the raw cotton fibers between your fingertips, a soft, almost ethereal touch. The threads, thin and fragile, break frequently, demanding your immediate, practiced attention. You lean forward, your back aching, your eyes straining in the dim light to find the broken end. Your hands move swiftly, automatically twisting the fragile ends together, rejoining them with a practiced flick of the wrist. This motion is repeated countless times. Every minute, every hour, a ceaseless, precise dance between your body and the demanding machine. The smell of the raw cotton, faintly earthy and perhaps mixed with machine oil, fills your nostrils, an unchanging part of your sensory world. If you are working a power loom, your task might involve monitoring the fabric as it is woven, ensuring threads do not snag, or replacing empty bobbins. Imagine the sight of the fabric slowly emerging from the loom, a continuous, unwavering stream of cloth. Your eyes must remain fixed on this process, searching for any imperfection, any stray thread. When a bobbin empties, you must quickly, efficiently, and often under intense pressure from the foreman, replace it with a full one. This requires reaching into the worry, clanking machinery, a constant low-level risk to your fingers and hands. The movements are precise, rapid, and endlessly repetitive. Reach, replace, pull, push, observe. Your body moves in harmony with the machine, becoming almost an extension of its tireless, relentless operation. The physical toll of these long hours is immense and pervasive. Your feet swell and ache from standing on hard floors for 14 consecutive hours, with only short, inadequate breaks. Your back constantly pains you, a dull, persistent throb from bending, reaching, and maintaining awkward postures. Your hands become raw, calloused, often pricked by sharp fibers or grazed by rough machinery. Repetitive strain injuries, though not formally recognized, would have been rampant. A constant dull ache in your wrists, a persistent stiffness in your shoulders, a tired burning in your eyes. The fatigue is not just a sensation, it is a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that permeates every fiber of your being, a constant companion that never truly leaves, even after a night's fitful sleep. Meals during the workday are brief, often taken directly on the factory floor amidst the ongoing noise and dust. Imagine sitting on a rough wooden crate or a stack of raw materials, your food, a simple piece of bread and perhaps a cold boiled potato, clutched in your tired hands. The sounds of the machinery do not stop. They continue their ceaseless clamor, making eating a functional act rather than a moment of respite. The taste of the food is often muted by the dust in the air, the constant dry throat. These short breaks offer little true rest, merely a brief pause before the relentless grind resumes. The precious few minutes of quiet, if they occur at all, are savored, a momentary escape before the inevitable return to the deafening roar. The passage of time in the factory is a strange, distorted experience. Hours stretch endlessly, blurring into an indistinguishable continuum of clanking, worry, and repetitive motion. The sun's slow arc across the sky, visible only through grimy windows, becomes your only true clock. A gradual progression from pale morning light to the deep gloom of approaching dusk. There are no distractions, no entertainments, no opportunities for idle conversation. Your mind, though weary, often drifts into a semi-meditative state, a quiet hum of consciousness that blends with the machine's rhythm. Thoughts become slow, simple, revolving around the next task, the next break, the eventual moment of release. This forced monotony, while physically taxing, can lead to a peculiar form of mental stillness, a quiet resignation to the relentless present moment. Finally, after 14 long, grueling hours, the blessed factory bell tolls once more, signaling the end of the shift. The roar of the machinery gradually begins to diminish as one machine after another is powered down, its grinding noises fading into a profound quietude. The air, still heavy with dust, suddenly seems lighter, less oppressive. The silence, initially disorienting after hours of cacophony, slowly becomes a profound relief, almost painful in its suddenness. You feel a deep, pervasive weariness settle into every fiber of your being, a fatigue that pulls at your limbs, that makes your eyelids heavy. The walk home in the encroaching darkness is a mirror of the morning journey, but now burdened by the weight of immense exhaustion. The streets are still damp, the air still thick with coal smoke, but now they are filled with the slow, shuffling footsteps of hundreds of other tired workers, their faces grim, their bodies swaying with fatigue. The only sounds are the soft scuffing of their boots, the distant, muffled echoes of city life, and the quiet, persistent hum of your own profound weariness. You dream of the simple cot, the coarse blanket, and the profound, immediate embrace of sleep, a sleep that comes not from peace, but from sheer, overwhelming physical and mental exhaustion, preparing your body for the inevitable, relentless rhythm of the factory's call once more. And as you imagine this deep, dreamless sleep, may your own mind find a similar, profound stillness, drifting gently, peacefully, into your own restorative rest. Having deeply immersed ourselves in the relentless, mechanical rhythm of the Victorian factory workday, understanding the pervasive dust, the continuous roar of machinery, and the profound physical exhaustion that became a daily companion, let us now gently shift our focus. We move from the world of brute industrial labor to a realm where another kind of tireless effort was unfolding, a quiet revolution in human care led by a singular determined woman whose name would forever be associated with light and meticulous healing. We are speaking of Florence Nightingale, a figure whose immense impact stemmed not from dramatic declarations, but from a profound, unwavering commitment to order, cleanliness, and the quiet, persistent power of observation. Imagine Florence, born into a wealthy, privileged British family in 1820. Her early life, unlike that of the factory workers we just explored, was one of leisure, of education in art, music, and languages, surrounded by the quiet elegance of country estates. Yet, even in this environment of comfort, a deep, persistent calling began to stir within her, a quiet conviction that her life should be dedicated to a higher purpose, the alleviation of suffering. This was a radical notion for a woman of her social standing at the time. Nursing was then considered a lowly, undesirable profession, often associated with poverty and ill repute, far from the respectable pursuits expected of a young lady. Imagine the quiet, internal struggle, the long hours of contemplation as she wrestled with societal expectations versus her profound inner conviction. Her early attempts to pursue this calling were met with gentle, yet firm, resistance from her family, who envisioned a more conventional life of marriage and social engagements for her. Yet Florence's resolve was unwavering. She studied in secret, poring over medical texts, often in the quiet solitude of her room, her lamp casting long, dancing shadows on the pages. She sought out opportunities to visit hospitals, not as a casual observer, but with a deep analytical gaze, meticulously noting the conditions, the practices, and the profound lack of order and cleanliness. This was a period of slow, self-directed learning, a quiet, patient accumulation of knowledge, driven by an unshakable internal sense of purpose. The pivotal moment in Florence Nightingale's life, and indeed in the history of modern nursing, arrived with the outbreak of the Crimean War in 1853. Reports of the appalling conditions for wounded British soldiers reached England, detailing horrific levels of disease and death, not from battle wounds, but from preventable illnesses, unsanitary environments, and chaotic disorganization. The public outcry grew, and in response, a desperate plea was made for nurses. Florence, with her quiet, persistent preparations, was uniquely positioned to answer this call. Imagine her receiving the letter, the quiet certainty that this was her moment, a solemn responsibility descending upon her. In November 1854, Florence Nightingale arrived at the Barrack Hospital in Scutari, Turkey, leading a small team of 38 nurses. What greeted them was not merely a hospital, but a scene of overwhelming chaos and profound squalor. Picture the conditions: overcrowded wards, patients lying on straw mattresses on the floor, many still in their bloody uniforms. The air was thick, heavy with the stench of unwashed bodies, gangrene, and overflowing latrines. Rats scurried in the shadows. There was no clean linen, no proper medical supplies, and critically, no systematic approach to hygiene or patient care. It was a place where more soldiers died from disease than from their battle wounds. A silent, unseen killer far more effective than enemy bullets. Florence, however, did not react with panic or despair. Her approach was one of meticulous, calm, and unwavering observation, coupled with systematic action. She understood, with a clarity few others possessed, that the invisible enemy of infection and disease was born of filth and disorder. Her first steps were not dramatic medical interventions, but fundamental acts of sanitation and organization. Imagine her moving quietly through the crowded wards, her lamp casting a gentle glow in the dimness, meticulously surveying every corner, noting every detail of the squalor. Her very presence, a lady of refinement in such a grim place, brought a sense of quiet authority and unwavering resolve. Her reforms began with the most basic, yet most revolutionary, changes. First, cleanliness. Imagine the slow, painstaking process of organizing the collection and washing of dirty linens, a task that seemed endless. Then, the systematic cleaning of the wards themselves. Floors scrubbed, walls whitewashed, windows opened to let in fresh air, a simple yet profoundly impactful act in an era when bad air was blamed for disease. She organized the removal of vast quantities of refuse and sewage, transforming the noxious environment into something breathable, something less conducive to the spread of illness. These were not swift, heroic actions, but persistent, repetitive, often unseen labors, carried out day after day, in the face of immense resistance and skepticism from military authorities. The sounds would have been the steady sloshing of water, the rhythmic scrubbing of brushes, the quiet creak of carts carrying away refuse, a symphony of sanitation, slowly, deliberately, reclaiming order from chaos. Beyond cleanliness, Florence also focused on providing adequate nutrition and basic comforts. She understood that weary, wounded soldiers needed more than just medical treatment. They needed proper food, clean water, and a quiet environment for recovery. She established a diet kitchen, ensuring that patients received nourishing meals tailored to their needs, prepared by dedicated hands. Imagine the subtle aromas of warm broth and freshly baked bread beginning to waft through previously stagnant air, a small, comforting detail in a grim reality. She also ensured they had clean bandages, fresh bedding, and, crucially, light. It was her nightly rounds, carrying her lamp through the dimly lit wards, checking on each soldier, that earned her the enduring moniker, the Lady with the Lamp, a symbol of quiet, tireless compassion. Her footsteps were soft, her voice a gentle murmur, her presence a source of profound reassurance in the darkness. But perhaps Florence Nightingale's most significant, yet most understated, contribution was her rigorous use of statistics and data. She was a pioneer in what we now call evidence-based practice. Imagine her, not on the battlefield, but at a quiet desk, perhaps by candlelight, meticulously recording every patient's admission, their diagnosis, their treatment, and their outcome. She designed complex statistical charts, including her famous Rose diagrams, which visually demonstrated that the vast majority of soldier deaths were due to preventable diseases and unsanitary conditions, not battle wounds. This was a quiet, intellectual struggle, using the cold, hard facts of numbers to expose systemic failures and compel change. Her arguments were not emotional appeals, but meticulously presented data, delivered with calm, undeniable authority. She understood that to truly revolutionize a system, one needed precise, irrefutable evidence, presented clearly and consistently. Her work in Crimea, and her subsequent efforts upon returning to England, led to widespread, yet slowly enacted, reforms in military hospitals, in public health, and eventually, in civilian nursing practices worldwide. She established the first secular nursing school at St. Thomas Hospital in London in 1860, a place where nurses were formally trained not just in medical tasks, but in hygiene, patient observation, and ethical conduct. Imagine the quiet classrooms, the diligent students poring over textbooks, the methodical instruction in cleanliness and patient care. This was a revolution built not on dramatic explosions, but on the steady, patient accumulation of knowledge, the meticulous implementation of protocols, and the quiet, persistent training of compassionate professionals. Florence Nightingale's life was a profound testament to the power of quiet perseverance, meticulous observation, and an unwavering commitment to humanitarian principles. Her world was one of immense suffering, but her approach was one of deliberate order, of systematic improvement, and of a deep, unshakable belief in the dignity of every human life. She lived with a quiet, unrelenting dedication, using the tools of cleanliness, organization, and data to transform a chaotic, deadly system into one rooted in care and efficiency. Her legacy is not merely in the grand narratives of war, but in the countless unseen acts of care, in the quiet, systematic improvements that continue to save lives to this very day. And as you contemplate the quiet discipline and profound impact of this extraordinary woman, may your own mind find a similar stillness, a deep sense of calm, preparing you gently for a truly restful and dream-filled sleep. Having deeply immersed ourselves in the tangible, relentless grind of the Victorian factory, feeling the pervasive dust and hearing the continuous roar of machinery that shaped countless lives above ground, and having then contemplated the quiet, methodical revolution in healthcare led by Florence Nightingale, let us now, slowly and with a profound sense of silent wonder, direct our attention downwards. We are about to embark on an imaginative journey into a world entirely hidden from the daily bustling street life of Victorian London, a vast, complex, and almost impossibly ambitious realm of engineering that operated, and still largely operates, in profound, unseen silence. The monumental underground infrastructure of the city. This is a story of ingenuity born from necessity, of immense labor performed in darkness, and of a quiet transformation that profoundly altered the health and very fabric of a sprawling metropolis, all beneath the feet of its oblivious inhabitants. Imagine London in the mid-19th century, a city bursting at its seams with unprecedented growth. Its population was swelling at an astonishing rate, drawing people from every corner of the country, eager to find work in the booming industries we just explored. Yet, beneath the veneer of progress and prosperity, a silent, pervasive crisis was festering. The existing sanitation system was rudimentary, almost non-existent for the vast majority of its inhabitants. Raw sewage, industrial waste, and the refuse of millions flowed directly into the River Thames, which, in those days, was not merely a waterway but an open sewer, a choked artery of filth. Picture the Thames during a hot summer, its waters sluggish and thick, a dark, viscous brew. The air above it, particularly during periods of warm weather, would become heavy, thick, and profoundly noxious, carrying an overwhelming, unbearable stench. This was the infamous Great Stink of 1858, an odor so overpowering it permeated every building, every home, even the very halls of Parliament, forcing its members to consider drastic action. This pervasive foul smell was not merely an inconvenience, it was a constant, tangible reminder of the invisible killer lurking in the shadows. Disease, cholera, a terrifying and often fatal disease, repeatedly swept through London, claiming tens of thousands of lives in devastating, rapid outbreaks. While the prevailing scientific theory of the time, the miasma theory, incorrectly attributed disease to bad air, there was a growing quiet understanding among some forward-thinking individuals like Dr. John Snow that contaminated water, not foul air, was the true culprit. This quiet, persistent accumulation of evidence slowly gathered in the background of everyday life eventually led to a momentous yet deliberate decision. London needed a proper, comprehensive sewer system, a vast underground network designed to carry away waste safely, permanently, and crucially silently. The political process to fund and commission such a monumental project was slow, often frustrating, but the unbearable reality of the Great Stink provided the final, undeniable impetus for action. It was an engineering challenge on an unprecedented scale, a task that required not just vision, but immense, unwavering patience. At the heart of this colossal undertaking was a quiet, meticulous engineer named Joseph Bazalgette. Imagine Bazalgette not as a flamboyant visionary, but as a man of profound precision, of careful calculation, and immense foresight. His vision for London's new sewer system was not merely a collection of pipes. It was an entire, vast, interconnected, self-cleansing network, designed with a genius that was both elegant and profoundly practical. He envisioned intercepting sewers, gigantic tunnels running parallel to the Thames, designed to intercept waste before it reached the river, diverting it to treatment works far downstream, miles away from the city center. Every single aspect of the design was meticulously calculated. Every gradient, every curve, every junction, engineered to harness the natural power of gravity, ensuring a constant, silent, uninterrupted flow. The planning phase alone consumed years of quiet study, of detailed surveys, of countless calculations, of meticulous, precise drawings, each line on paper representing a colossal, unseen structure that would one day run beneath the bustling city. The sheer scale of this grand design, laid out so calmly on paper, was truly breathtaking. Then came the actual, monumental construction of these colossal sewers, a hidden undertaking of truly epic proportions. carried out largely unseen by the daily lives of Londoners above. Thousands upon thousands of laborers, known as navvies, were employed. These were men of immense physical strength and quiet endurance, working in conditions that defy modern imagination. Imagine the environment in which they toiled, deep underground, often in suffocating darkness, illuminated only by the flickering, unsteady light of candles or early gas lamps. The air was perpetually damp, thick with the earthy smell of excavated soil, the metallic tampes of freshly cut iron, and the pervasive, cloying scent of damp brick and mortar. It was a claustrophobic, often dangerous world. The dominant sounds were rhythmic and unceasing, the dull, persistent clang of picks against earth and rock, the soft, rhythmic scrape of shovels filling carts, the muffled thud of excavated soil being moved, and the constant gentle splash of subsurface water seeping into the trenches. The construction involved millions upon millions of bricks. Imagine the patient, repetitive process, each brick, heavy and rough-textured, being carefully handled by human hands, laid one by one, with unwavering precision, by skilled bricklayers. The quiet click of bricks as they were gently placed, the soft, squelching sound of mortar being spread, the muffled taps of hammers adjusting their position. These were the constant sounds that echoed through the damp, subterranean tunnels. The work was slow, painstaking, and utterly relentless, yet each brick laid was a step towards a cleaner, healthier future. These tunnels, once completed, would stretch for hundreds of miles, a vast, intricate, unseen city of brick and concrete running silently beneath the very foundations of London. It was a testament to human perseverance, building a colossal, unseen monument that would serve generations, all in profound darkness and silence. Once constructed, the purpose and function of this grand sewer system was simplicity itself, yet profoundly revolutionary: to silently, constantly, and efficiently draw away waste from the city. Imagine the vast, unseen network, deep underground, fulfilling its task day and night without interruption. The flow of water and waste, guided by Basel jets' ingenious gradients, moved steadily, inexorably towards the distant pumping stations. These pumping stations were massive, steam-powered mechanical marvels, hidden away in grand, often ornate, brick buildings that belied the gritty work happening within. Imagine the slow, powerful, rhythmic thrumming of colossal steam engines, their immense flywheels turning with a ponderous grace, their pistons rising and falling with a consistent deep sigh, tirelessly lifting millions of gallons of wastewater from lower levels to higher intercepting sewers. These were hidden giants, working with a quiet, powerful efficiency, their only sound a deep, resonant hum, ensuring the continuous unseen flow that transformed London's health. The impact was enormous and largely unseen by the average citizen. Cholera epidemics, once a terrifying annual threat, gradually receded, becoming a distant, fading memory, a silent, continuous miracle brought about by a hidden, methodical engineering triumph. The longevity of this system is truly remarkable. Much of Bazalgette's original design, built with such quiet, robust foresight, is still largely in use today, continuing its silent work, a testament to its enduring, profound power. Beyond the vital arteries of the sewers, another hidden world began to take shape beneath London's busy streets. The early underground railways, the genesis of what would become the vast, intricate network of the tube. The problem on the surface was increasingly apparent. Horse-drawn carriages and pedestrians choked the narrow, winding streets, leading to immense congestion and slow, frustrating movement. The bold, audacious idea emerged: why not move people beneath the bustling streets? The early construction of these railways, particularly the Metropolitan Railway, relied on what was known as the cut-and-cover method. Imagine vast open trenches being dug directly through the city's foundations, disrupting daily life, but only temporarily. Buildings were demolished, earth was excavated by hand, often by the same resilient navvies who built the sewers. And then, slowly, meticulously, a brick-lined tunnel was constructed before the trench was covered over again, returning the street above to its seemingly normal appearance. This was a slow, disruptive, but ultimately transient phase of construction, replaced by the permanent silence of the underground tunnel. Once operational, the experience of traveling on these early underground trains was unique and profoundly atmospheric. Imagine descending into the dimly lit, often smoky stations, the air thick with the faint scent of coal smoke and steam. The trains themselves were steam-powered, their locomotives hissing and puffing with a powerful, rhythmic sigh, their wheels emitting a characteristic, rhythmic rumble as they moved through the dark, echoing tunnels. The carriages, often lit only by gas lamps, cast a soft, flickering glow on the faces of the passengers, their conversations hushed by the overwhelming sounds of the train's movement. You would feel the gentle sway and tremor of the carriage, the constant, low roar of the wheels on the rails, and the sensation of moving swiftly through an unseen, subterranean world. It was a marvel of Victorian efficiency, allowing people to traverse the sprawling city far more quickly than on the congested surface, all with a repetitive, almost hypnotic rhythm that could lull the mind. This early tube eventually evolved into a vast, silent network of electric tunnels, continuously carrying millions of people beneath the city in a perpetual, quiet flow. The functioning of these complex underground worlds was only possible due to the quiet, dedicated efforts of countless unseen workers. Imagine the sewer flushers, brave individuals who, with long poles, meticulously ensured the continuous flow of waste through the vast tunnels, performing their essential, often grim, duties in profound darkness and silence. Or the early train operators, their hands on the controls of massive steam locomotives, guiding their heavy trains through the dark, echoing tunnels with unwavering focus. The maintenance crews, working quietly, diligently, often in the dead of night, inspecting tracks, reinforcing tunnels, ensuring the entire system operated without a hitch. Their routines were demanding, often dangerous, yet performed with a quiet dedication, ensuring that the city above functioned smoothly, seamlessly, entirely unaware of the complex, subterranean world that underpinned its existence. They were the silent cogs in a colossal, unseen, vital mechanism, working in unison with the unceasing hum of the Victorian city. The legacy of these hidden systems, built with immense patience, astonishing engineering foresight, and tireless manual labor, is a profound testament to Victorian ingenuity. They are the true, silent heroes of the Victorian age, allowing millions to live in greater health, to move with greater efficiency, and to thrive in a city that would otherwise have choked on its own growth. All of this was achieved quietly, persistently, without the need for grand proclamations or public spectacles. These structures, vast and intricate, still perform their essential tasks in the dark, largely unnoticed, day after quiet day. They are an enduring monument to the power of methodical planning, relentless execution, and the profound, transformative impact of unseen, disciplined effort, a testament to quiet, lasting power that continues to serve a bustling metropolis from deep beneath its foundations. And as you contemplate the vast silent labyrinths beneath the city, the hidden wonders of its engineering, may your own mind find a similar stillness, a deep sense of calm as you drift towards the most restful and dream-filled sleep. Having deeply explored the relentless, often physically exhausting grind of the Victorian factory floor, a world dominated by the ceaseless roar of machinery and the pervasive dust of industrial toil, and having then traversed the silent hidden labyrinths of London's subterranean engineering, a realm of unseen quiet power, let us now, slowly and with a profound shift in perspective, turn our attention. We are about to step into a vastly different, yet equally structured world within the same Victorian era, the daily life of the elite, the privileged ladies and gentlemen who resided in sprawling country estates or elegant townhouses, far removed from the clamor of the working classes. Their existence, while undeniably luxurious, was surprisingly governed by its own intricate set of disciplines and a pervasive quiet grandeur, a rhythm of structured leisure that can, in its very description, invite a profound sense of peace. Imagine, for a long, quiet moment, the gentle awakening within a sprawling Victorian mansion. The first hints of dawn would not be heralded by a jarring factory bell, but by the soft, diffused light filtering delicately through heavy, rich velvet curtains, their fabric thick and plush, muffling any sounds from the world outside. The air in the spacious bedchamber would be cool, clean, carrying the faint, subtle scent of polished wood, of antique furniture, and perhaps the lingering fragrance of lavender from a sachet placed nearby. There is no urgency in this awakening. You would stir slowly, leisurely, cocooned in soft, clean linen sheets, their crisp coolness a gentle contrast to the warmth of your deep slumber. The silence of the room would be profound, broken only by your own soft breathing and the subtle creak of ancient timbers as the house slowly, gently settled itself around you. The process of preparing for the day for a lady or gentleman of means was an elaborate, unhurried ritual, orchestrated by a retinue of silent, efficient servants. Imagine a maid, moving with graceful, almost invisible steps, softly drawing back the heavy curtains, allowing the full, gentle light of morning to fill the room. Another might quietly stoke the embers in the fireplace, coaxing them back to a gentle, crackling warmth, the subtle scent of burning logs filling the air. For a lady, the dressing ritual alone could take an hour or more. Imagine the soft rustle of multiple layers of undergarments, delicate lace chemises, finely stitched corsets, voluminous petticoats, each piece carefully adjusted by her lady's maid, the feel of the fine cotton or silk against her skin, the gentle tugging of ribbons and laces, the subtle scent of lavender or rosewater that permeated each layer. Finally, the elaborate day dress, made of rich silks, velvets, or intricate brocades, would be carefully lowered over her, its fabric whispering softly as it settled around her form. Every button, every hook, every fastening would be meticulously secured by the maid's nimble fingers. For a gentleman, the ritual involved a meticulous shave, the sharp rhythmic stroke of the razor, the soothing warmth of the shaving cream, followed by the careful donning of starched shirts, perfectly tailored waistcoats, and finely cut jackets, each detail ensuring impeccable presentation. The atmosphere of these dressing rooms would be one of quiet efficiency, of subdued conversation, of meticulous attention to detail, a calm start to a day of structured elegance. Breakfast would be a leisurely, refined affair, often served in a sunlit breakfast room overlooking a meticulously manicured garden. Imagine the delicate clinking of silver cutlery against fine-bone china, the gentle pouring of hot tea or coffee into elegant porcelain cups. The aromas would be rich and inviting, the warm, comforting scent of freshly baked bread or toast, the delicate fragrance of marmalade, the subtle aroma of brewing coffee. The conversation would be hushed, perhaps discussing the day's schedule, gentle news, or plans for the garden. There would be no hurried rush, no sense of urgency. The meal was a time for calm reflection, for savoring the quiet comforts of a well-ordered home. The distant sounds of the household beginning to stir, the soft footsteps of servants, the gentle opening and closing of doors would blend into a soothing background hum, never intruding on the tranquility of the meal. Following breakfast, the morning would often be dedicated to genteel pursuits and the quiet management of the household or estate. For a lady, this might involve retiring to the drawing room or a private sitting room. Imagine her seated gracefully in a plush, upholstered armchair, bathed in the soft, diffused light from tall windows. She might spend hours engaged in correspondence, writing long, beautifully penned letters to family and friends. The gentle scratch of her quill pen on fine stationery, the soft rustle of paper, the quiet deliberation as she chose each word, these would be the dominant sounds of this activity. Or perhaps, she would occupy herself with quiet needlework, her fingers moving rhythmically, meticulously, stitching intricate patterns onto fine fabric. The subtle, rhythmic prick of the needle, the soft pull of the thread, would create a soothing, repetitive sound, a form of active meditation. The air in the drawing room would be still, serene, perhaps carrying the faint scent of polished wood and fresh flowers from a vase. A gentleman's morning might involve managing his estate, a task often conducted with quiet authority from his study. Imagine him seated at a large, imposing desk, its surface gleaming with a rich, dark polish. He would review ledgers filled with precise, elegant script, detailing agricultural yields, tenant rents, or investment portfolios. Instructions would be given to estate managers or secretaries in a calm, measured tone, their responses equally respectful and hushed. The rustle of large maps being unrolled, the soft clicking of a quill pen, the subtle turning of a page in a weighty financial report. These would be the sounds of his administrative tasks, all performed with a methodical, unhurried efficiency. This was a life of quiet power, where decisions were made with careful consideration. Far from the hurried, reactive pace of commerce or industry, the afternoon often brought opportunities for structured leisure or gentle social interaction. A lady might take a slow, deliberate stroll through the elaborate private gardens. Imagine the feel of soft gravel crunching gently beneath her delicate leather boots as she walked along winding paths, admiring the meticulously arranged flower beds, the precisely sculpted hedges, and the serene beauty of a quiet pond. The air would be filled with the sweet, pervasive scent of roses, lilies, and countless other blossoms. The only sounds would be the gentle hum of bees, the distant, muffled chirping of unseen birds, and the soft rustle of leaves in a barely perceptible breeze. Or perhaps, she would receive callers, other ladies of similar social standing, in the elegant drawing room. The arrival of their carriages would be a distant, muted sound, a soft clatter on the gravel driveway, quickly absorbed by the thick walls of the mansion. The conversation would be polite, measured, often revolving around family news, charitable endeavors, or cultural events, conducted in low, modulated tones, without any raised voices or dramatic gestures. The gentle clinking of teacups, the soft rustle of fabric as someone shifted in their seat. These were the sounds of social grace. As evening approached, the pace would subtly shift towards more formal, yet still serene, social engagements. Dinner, a multi-course affair, would be served in the grand dining room. Imagine the soft glow of gaslights or candelabras illuminating the polished mahogany table, set with gleaming silver and sparkling crystal. The sounds would be subtle, the gentle clinking of cutlery on china, the quiet pouring of wine into glasses, the hushed voices of conversation across the table, always polite, always measured. Servants would move with near-perfect silence, serving each course with effortless grace, their footsteps barely audible on the carpeted floor. The aroma of finely prepared dishes, subtle and enticing, would fill the room, adding to the sensory experience without overwhelming it. This was a time for quiet, intellectual discourse, for enjoying exquisite food in a tranquil, controlled environment. After dinner, the drawing room would become the center of quiet entertainment and relaxation. Imagine the soft, mellow notes of a piano being played in a distant corner, a classical melody filling the air with its soothing harmonies. Some might engage in quiet games of cards, their movements precise, the only sound the soft shuffle of the deck or the gentle click of ivory chips. Others might gather to read aloud from a book of poetry or a literary novel, the narrator's calm, measured voice a gentle drone, inviting the listeners to drift into the stories. The warmth from the fireplace, its embers glowing softly, would cast a comforting flickering light, creating long dancing shadows on the walls. The conversation, if any, would be hushed, contemplative, often reflecting on the day's events or deeper philosophical points. This was a time for intellectual stimulation, for aesthetic pleasure, but all within a framework of profound quietude and controlled elegance. The discipline in the elite Victorian household, though different from the physical toil of the factory, was equally pervasive. It was a discipline of decorum, of social grace, of maintaining an outward appearance of effortless calm and order, regardless of internal stresses. Every gesture, every word, every piece of clothing, every room in the house, was carefully curated to project this sense of structured tranquility. The silent, almost invisible presence of the servants was key to this, as they managed every detail of daily life, ensuring the seamless operation of the household without ever intruding on its serene atmosphere. This constant, subtle adherence to an unspoken code created a predictable, comforting rhythm, a sanctuary of order in a rapidly changing world. As night deepened and the final embers in the fireplace softly died down, the great mansion would slowly, gradually, settle into a profound, encompassing silence. The gaslights would be extinguished one by one, leaving only the soft glow of distant street lamps or the silent shimmer of moonlight through the windows. The only sounds would be the soft creaking of old timbers as the house responded to the cooling night air, perhaps the distant muffled chiming of a church bell marking the hour, or the gentle rhythmic breathing of the sleeping inhabitants. This was the deep, restorative sleep earned through a day of structured elegance, of quiet management, and of serene social interaction. A profound rest that prepared the mind and body for the similar, unhurried rhythms of the coming dawn. And as you imagine yourself settling into this deep, quiet comfort, feeling the soft embrace of fine linen, and listening to the profound stillness of an ancient, elegant mansion, allow your own mind to find its perfect stillness, drifting gently, peacefully, into a deep and truly dream-filled sleep.